All right, everybody, welcome to our first battle report for Battle of the Hats, the 4th edition Chaos Dwarfs versus High Elves narrative campaign that Steve and I are kicking off.
I'm Steve.
I'm Daryl. I'm Chaos Dwarfs.
And I'm an elf. It's just the way it is, I'm afraid. Never used to be an elf, but now I'm an elf.
Now you're an elf. And if you want to learn a little bit more about our campaign, you can watch the intro video, which will be on this channel as well. So we're going to jump straight into our first battle, yeah?
Yep, sounds good, sounds good.
Okay, so we're first going to talk about the deployment and where we got to and how we got there. So we decided to have this narrative campaign where the Chaos Dwarfs were crash landing on Ulthuan in search of this legendary hat maker. We'll come back to that in a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, because the elves are renowned for their ability to make fantastic hats. And the Chaos Dwarfs, being chaotic and dwarves, couldn't help but be resentful of this. And made their way to Ulthuan and can't drive their ships straight, apparently, and just ended up a beach. So our guys, the elves, had to sort them out.
They had to sort them out. So the scenario we went for was a beach landing, crash landing.
Yeah, it's a crash landing.
So the map was set out, and you'll see on the map up on the screen. Essentially, we had a beach landing with the kind of edges of a settlement in the middle of the map, and our units started to deploy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems we were trying to solve was we wanted to do a beach landing scenario because we like the sort of thematic feel of it, you know, the Saving Private Ryan Chaos Dwarf form.
Yeah.
But we're also trying to play an escalation campaign, so we're starting with small armies because we've only got a limited amount of guys painted up. So we thought an accidental beach landing was maybe the best way to run with it.
Yeah, and we should say, so this battle was 600-ish
points? Yeah,
it
was about 600-ish. We weren't exactly precise with our points, just went with the models we had.
That's
mostly.
Right. So small armies to start off with, and really a kind of narrative-driven campaign which will grow over time. So, nighttime. The Chaos Dwarfs, one of their boats went asunder, and things are afoot in Ulthuan.
Yeah, so my hero for this game was a fella called Lysander the Radiant, Sword of Ulthuan? Oh no, Sword of, I've forgotten his name. Doesn't matter. He's got a really nice name that he made up himself and makes him sound brilliant.
And a decent hat.
And he's got a good hat. But he's been looking for these Chaos Dwarves that have been mincing about his shores, and he's hanging out at this farm that we've made on the board, and the hobgoblins have snuck upon him from behind,
sneaky.
as they do.
In this first stage, it's nighttime. We wanted to kind of set the scene and also see which way the battle would tip. So we rolled for it, right?
Yeah,
so
this bit was kind of random to see who'd have the upper hand in the very first opening shots of the campaign.
That's right. And you had a pretty strong unit of elf spearmen.
Pretty strong.
Pretty strong.
Pretty and strong.
Mildly strong.
Elves.
Yeah, strength 3.
Pointy on the outside, smooth on the inside. Elves.
Meanwhile, my hobgoblin sneaky gets hiding in the trees, right? And this unit had a lucky game. The dice were on their side the entire game.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing or spoilers, which is spoilers.
So dice roll to determine whether or not the sneaky gits would get a jump on the elf unit, and the roll went my way. So I got first turn, which meant I got the charge to the rear of your unit.
Yeah, which turns out is a massive advantage, because I think you killed the entire back rank.
The back rank, all but one.
All but one, so I didn't get many to hit back. Of course, in 4th edition, unlike later editions, if your guy dies, he doesn't get to hit back.
That's right.
Nobody steps in to fill the place.
That's right, and the charger gets the first attack as well.
The charger gets initiative straight off the bat. Yes, it's a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Somewhat unfair.
So your spearmen, led by your hero, shot down the road.
Yeah, they made a strategic retreat. It was a bold strategy. We'll see how it paid off.
But they rallied, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go. So in turn two of the nighttime part of this campaign, your boys had a rally.
Yeah. So the rally turned around on the spot to face the hobgoblins. I'm not actually sure how the rules work specifically in 4th for that. I don't know how we played it exactly right. We're still kind of fluffing our way through the rules, and we're generally leaning into sort of more kind of a rule of cool.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's how we would have played back in the day. We didn't really care about it too much then.
Absolutely.
So in this case, when I rallied them, we decided that Lysander, the Radiant Sword of oh, I've forgotten his name again. He's got a really good name. Assyrian. So, being a proper high elf, he decided to strategically remove himself from danger and run towards the nearest fortification, which is a tower.
Proper elf move.
Yeah,
Go,
absolutely.
run away.
I also seemed a little undignified in the first moves of the campaign to have my hero cut to bloody ribbons
I agree.
by hobgoblins.
I
So,
agree, I agree.
yeah.
So your guy bolted, and while your unit turned, you
Yeah.
turned. He went to a strategic position.
He
That's
did.
what it-
He took the high ground, moral and physical.
But your spearmen fell to the poisonous daggers.
Yeah,
of
they
the
did.
hobgoblins.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really upset about it because they've been around for a couple of hundred years and only be cut down by a goblin is a pretty ignoble way to go.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It turns out poison, although poison isn't as strong as later editions, the -1 to armor for elves, it was
Yeah,
absolutely
like
fine.
elves wear armour. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shiny, but it's glorified tinfoil.
It turned your 5 up to a 6 up.
Yeah.
You didn't have a great dice.
No,
game, did
it was
you?
fine though. They died happy.
They died happy.
They died happy.
So that was our night time, yeah?
Yep. Then sun came up.
Sun came up, and on came my lords. So my army has 2 lords. One is a lord sorcerer, and the other is just a straight up warlord, choppy warlords.
Yeah.
And the story goes that he is leading the vanguard, so Gur Nur Nur or Nu Nu is
Naughty Nu Nu.
Naughty Nu Nu is leading the
I should have
vanguard.
saved that one for later. That's coming back.
And so he's the one that shows up for this beach landing scenario. And so his units, so the hobgoblins were the main block of infantry, actually, in that kind of initial battle. But I have a unit of 12 blunderbusses, 2 units of 5 hobgoblin archers, and then we have the Earthshaker cannon, but that wasn't really part of my army to start off with.
No, because it was part of the wreckage on the beach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. My army at this point was I had some archers in the tower, but I had 6 archers in a tower and had, I think, 12 archers, or was it 8?
I think it was 8 archers.
A few archers in the village.
It was
anyway.
8. It was 8. It was
There was
8.
maybe 8.
Yeah, yeah.
8 archers in the village. That was all that was left. To start, our armies were relatively balanced.
Yeah.
But after my spearmen got wiped out before the game started, I mean, at the start of the game,
They
kind
fought valiantly.
That tilted things against me.
Yeah.
Not salty at all.
So daytime deployment, all of a sudden, the Chaos Dwarfs show up on the beach, and the alarms go off in the elf village. And
Yeah.
it's it's party time.
Yeah.
So there was more narrative elements to our main battle. So the Earthshaker cannon, one of the key pieces of artillery of the Chaos Dwarfs, was actually in pieces. It was on the beachheads and had to be put together. So each turn, a wheel got put onto the cannon, and the cannon barrel got put onto the cannon.
Yeah. And we were using that just as a kind of a marker of the turns. So it ended up being like a 6-turn game because we had 2 turns before the Earthshaker started getting put together.
Yeah.
But on turn, let me figure this out, on turn 3, there started becoming an opportunity for me to get some reinforcements along the beach in the form of some Reaver cavalry, which could appear from turn 3 onwards. Turn 3, I think the chance we said was like a roll of a 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
And then it got 1 point easier every turn.
Yeah.
And
So
we'll
we had
see
this
how
kind
that
of
worked out.
metronome ticking on both sides of the battle
Yeah.
as to what might happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it wasn't really a great dice game for you.
No, it wasn't.
No.
But you know, well, we're not. There were some highs and lows for all concerned.
Indeed. So should we jump into the first round of deployment, I guess?
Oh, we've not. Oh man, I thought we were nearly finished.
No. Right. So my Chaos Dwarfs show up on the shore. They're all clustered between 2 cliffs. The hobgoblins managed to get themselves up onto the cliff edge to start shooting arrows at the high elves, but
That was their first mistake.
that was my first mistake.
Yeah, because high elf arrows go further and are more accurate.
They are, and hobgoblins have no armor at all. So
Yeah.
they just got dead.
Not even tinfoil.
Nah, they just got dead. So your archers took care of the hobgoblins on the left to start off with.
Yeah.
And they fled.
Yeah.
And then the next turn after that, the other archers got peppered off by your tower archers.
Yeah, that was it. Over the 2 turns, the 2 units of hobgoblins got decimated.
Yeah.
Which was somewhat. It was a bit one of those joyful moments where you can recover from the emotional lows of having your glorious spearman trampled into the ground by the denizens of evil.
But it's how it should be too, right? I mean, high elf archers are going to kill hobgoblin archers. That's how it goes.
Every time.
Every time. But that was a distraction. Because what I had running across the unit was my mob of sneaky gits. They were running.
Yeah, they were running.
So I learned 2 things in this game. One, Chaos Dwarves are slow. They're so slow. 3-inch movement. Oh my god.
But incredibly fast over short distances.
Then Bazing! And the hobgoblins are really fast, and animosity went in my favor as well.
Yeah. I suppose one of the things that really makes a difference between the Chaos Dwarf army here to like a traditional dwarf army is they have that mobility. They have like those faster elements can push forward in a way that maybe the dwarf armies of the time maybe couldn't.
Yeah, they didn't really have those fast units, did they? Yeah. The third turn, your archers had a victory over my archers. By the 4th turn, my hobgoblins had made it very clear they were coming for your archers.
Yeah, they were coming from archers, and not only were they coming for the archers, they were coming for them on the flanks. Some archers were defending a wall, but it'd be absolutely no use to them as a single file archers with a block of hobgoblins bearing down on them.
Yeah.
So they did the only thing that I thought was prudent, and that was run away. No, they were going to charge the enemy. So the charge.
To get around the back flank. That's what.
Well, the way I looked at it, I thought, well, maybe if I can keep ahead of your hobgoblins, I'll be able to get to the beach and threaten the cannon crew. That's what I was thinking.
Because that was your victory, right? If you got the cannon,
I'd won.
Game is good.
Yeah, that was it. It was all. I had my eye on the prize.
Yeah.
And it all would have come together if it hadn't been for those dratted
dice.
Yeah.
So we've got a combination of things here. So your archers on the left-hand side, they started moving.
Yeah.
And my hobgoblins kind of closed in. Meanwhile, the blunderbuss unit just slowly kind of crept up the battlefield as a Chaos Dwarf does.
This is something I wasn't sure how I was going to play out with our 2 armies, because obviously the High Elves have the range on the likes of the blunderbusses, and the Chaos Dwarfs being kind of slow.
Yeah.
It was a danger of it being kind of boring or maybe a bit stale, try to shoot each other, but me being able to outrange all the time. But it didn't work out like that. Actually, it actually came together quite nicely. It was interesting the whole way.
I think that with the hobgoblins, that's what kept it interesting, right?
Yeah,
kind of kept the pace rolling.
Yeah.
So in this turn is when animosity went my way. And also when my lord started to make a dash.
Yeah,
dash
and let's be clear, animosity went really in his way.
It was great.
It couldn't have been better.
It was a 1 and a 6. It was perfect.
Why couldn't it have just been the other way around?
So for those of you who don't know, with animosity, for every greenskin unit you've got in your army, you've got to roll. If you hit a 1, then you've got to roll on the animosity chart.
Yeah, and if you roll a 6 on the animosity chart, you essentially get a free move. Chaos Dwarf Hobgoblin guys being just exactly 1 free move away from getting in contact with my elves that were bravely running away. I mean, running forward.
strategically
running forward.
They
put them in a perfect position for another rear charge.
So they got recharged as well. And that didn't go well, although you ended up still having 3 or 4 left over.
Oh,
They bolted.
Yeah, they ran away. They ran away.
And so really the battle was focused on that kind of central column.
Yeah.
A combination of the blunderbusses making up the way, but also Nunu making a break for the hero as well.
So like now my attention turned to Daryl's leader, because he was now running towards my tower looking very threatening.
Yeah.
So you bear in mind, my leader was a hero.
Mine's a lord.
Daryl's is a lord, but really that's only 1 point of wounds difference.
That's true. That's true. And 1 extra magic item if you're decking them out.
If you deck them out. So
should we talk about the loadout for a hero?
Oh, well, maybe we should. Yeah.
Why don't you describe Lysander first? So your hero he was decked out.
Well, he was decked out in relative terms.
Yeah.
He had a potion of strength because he's an elf and he needed the extra Weetabix, and he had a magic hat. Obviously, he needed his magic hat, and this one was the dragon helm, which gives him plus a 2-up save against fire attacks, which I thought may come in handy against
Chaos Dwarfs. And +1 to an armor as well.
Oh, and +1 to his armor as well. He needs that too, as we discussed earlier.
Where Nunu had both a golden helm of Altrazar, which is an awesome unit, which is basically a 3-up ward save. It's dirty. And the black hammer of Hashut, because what Chaos Dwarf
no,
would not be carrying the black.
But the thing is,
hammer,
what we decided because early on was we're playing 4th edition, we're playing 90s Warhammer, it's Hero Hammer.
Hero Hammer.
There are no rules. As much as we're playing really cool and we want things to be fun, we also want to have ridiculous heroes that smash face and kill dragons.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So it's like that's part of it's part of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So my guys go get decked out more in the future once they get more points.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, we were limited by points, but it was still
of course,
my guy was tooled up pretty hard.
Yeah.
So we met in combat at the foot of the tower. Eventually, once my guy finally ran his little legs up the hill. And I also learned something too. This is my first time using the blunderbuss unit. So unit, which is a cool unit. 12 inch, and it just basically fires a giant rectangle across the board, but only 12 inches.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't get anything in the way of that. Because
before you go any further, let's not forget the Nunu was making his way across the battlefield here and already had more than one elven arrow in his hat.
He did.
Because my elves in the tower had not been idle and been trying to pick him off. But they made the mistake of thinking the top of his head actually went into the hat, and every single shot that hit him got rebounded.
With the golden helm, it was a 3-up. It was it was.
So every single one of them went. There was at least 2 or 3.
I think it was by the battle was done. I think there was 3 arrows.
Yeah, that guy took a lot of fire.
He did, including from his own unit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So blunderbusses, super cool. I'd love to see him in against an infantry unit against a building. Meh, not so much. But it is that kind of rectangle of death that goes out of the units, on which Nunu stepped in front of. So.
Yeah, he just decided, I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
got ward save.
Yeah, exactly. And he was fine.
He was fine.
He made it up to the hill with his full set of wounds.
Yep.
Met briefly in combat with Lysander. And
Lysander fought bravely. And it wasn't like it was a close thing. It wasn't like that combat wasn't
one-sided.
It wasn't completely one-sided.
No.
And it's like at any time you could have met your doom.
Yeah.
Any time.
I felt a whisper of it blow past my ears.
Yeah. It may have been what Lysander had for lunch. And he realised what he was up against.
He'll be back. Lysander will be back. So, but that was also turn 4 as well.
Yeah.
And that's when you started rolling to see if your Reavers came on.
Oh yeah, which they didn't. Came on, was that turn
5?
Turn 5.
Yeah.
But we're jumping ahead.
We are jumping ahead. So, Nunu's at the back door of your tower.
Yeah.
The goblins are down back on the beachhead.
Don't say anything.
Sorry.
Then we should maybe rephrase that. Where's Nunu?
He's on the back here.
There's only one door. It's the front door of the tower. You started at the back.
He came to the.
There is no Nunu at the back door, Daryl.
He's at your front door.
Okay. Tapping at the door.
It was the goblins at the back door.
Right.
So my goblins ran down the beach, and they were back hanging out with everybody else. Meanwhile, Nunu was at the front door. Of the Elven Tower.
From the village perspective.
Indeed. And they won combat. So Nunu assaulted the tower, and the way that combat in buildings works. In 4th edition, plays the favor of the people of the building.
Yeah, sure. Really good. So in 4th edition, if you're trying to attack a building, it's a case of you use the same rules as a defended obstacle, which are brutal in 4th edition. Just puts you on 6s to hit.
Yeah.
Regardless who you're fighting or who you're fighting with, you need 6s if you're fighting against somebody defending.
Yeah.
Also, you're limited to attacking with the number of models equal to entryways into the building. So say you were fighting a cottage and there was like a door and 2 windows, you'd get 3 guys fight.
That's right, yeah.
And it's like, so it's really hard to get into building.
So I was attacking with a single character, so that didn't matter too much, but I was hitting on 6s. And so I just whiffed the hits, and you got 1 in, I think.
I think you lost a wound at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you lost a wound at that point.
Yeah. So I got pushed out of the tower, which set me up for an interesting dramatic moment.
Yeah, another moment of friendly fire, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nunu was a total magnet for
He just loves getting hit. He loves it. So this is turn 4. The Earthshaker cannon had been assembled.
Yeah.
Fired off 1 shot to the front of the tower, kind of missed completely with the directional dice. And in turn 5, they fired onto the tower, but went over by 1.
Went over by 1.
Which was right on the hat of Nunu, who had been pushed out of the tower at the same moment. Basically, the elves went yoink, and the cannonball went pop.
I just had this image of Nunu actually just disappearing inside his hat. Just, boom, just hat. hat down like a turtle. You know?
Like Elmer Fudd.
Definitely the boom noise.
But
So.
that hat, that 3 aboard save was
that's a good hat.
Killer, yeah.
That's a good hat.
And we did, so we made
those.
one mistake. We made one mistake in that we didn't do the Earthshake on him.
Yeah.
Because that's the other great thing about the Earthshaker cannon. This was the first time using that cannon, so it was my mistake.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should just make it a rule for the campaign that Nunu is immune to the Earthshaker because he hides inside his hat.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
that means I can run him right in front of the cannon.
I mean, just for consistency, you know?
Yeah. So Nunu got a little donk on the head,
Yeah.
but he was okay. And then he charged back into the
He charged
tower.
back in, and he got in this time.
And he got in, and your elves fled off.
Yeah.
But your Reavers came on.
They came on just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
No, wait.
They
Just
were
a minute
little
too
bit
late.
late. They were a bit
just a
late.
bit too late. Yep.
So they came on board right.
Yeah.
On beach right.
Well, what's interesting here, though, is my only aim in this game was to destroy the cannon. So with the Reavers coming on, even at the death of the game, where everything had gone wrong so far, still had a chance to snatch
Victory.
the victory out of the
Salty,
jaws of
salty
defeat.
victory.
Yeah. Could still do it at this point.
Yeah.
Because, what had happened is Daryl had actually moved everything forward, so he didn't have anything back defending it, really, apart from the one unit of hobgoblins. I don't know if there had been a hobgoblin unit rallied.
The archers on the right cliff
Had rallied. There's maybe 3 guys, but I could run through them, no bother.
Yeah.
So there's still a solid chance of me pulling this back at this point.
Yeah. But because it took so long for you to come on, it meant that the cannon was active, and also my blunderbusses had turned around because they knew something was going to come. So.
Yeah, they heard the beat of hooves.
Yeah.
And
So your unit came on, and my cannon turned to fire.
Yeah.
And had a direct hit.
Oh yeah.
That was basically game.
That was it. Because we did use the Earthshaker rules here, and that put those guys in the ground.
It did, yeah.
And I think it's probably because they're on sand.
Yeah.
It's probably something to do with that. And they all got distracted with interesting sandcastle-like shapes that formed around them. And they thought, oh wait, we'll just stick a flag in that and we'll just wait here a bit longer.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Sure.
We'll write that into the history books. Yeah.
Into the lore.
Yeah. So by the time the Reavers made it to the cannon, it was 3?
Yeah, there was 3 left. There's 3 left.
Yeah. And it didn't last very long. It was 1 round of combat. You took 1 crew off of the cannons.
Yeah.
And then I got the flank on you.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And it turns out dwarf cannon crew are tough. If that was any other army, see like a goblin artillery crew, they just get squished into the ground.
Pulped.
Dwarves, nah.
Yeah.
Just
even the cannon crew, they're on a 4-up save.
Yeah.
As well.
And elves hit I don't know, what do you call?
Cheese.
I'm trying to think of something squishy and damp.
Cheese.
With no momentum.
Cheese.
Cheesecake, yeah. Like not real cheese though, that kind of processed slices.
Yeah, like the cheese sticks your mum used to give you.
Yeah, except without the stickiness. That's an elf. Doesn't even stick.
I think it depends on what kind of elf. If you're a dark elf, it might be sticky. Yeah. Anyways, so that was the end of our battle, and that sets us up for where we go to next for battle 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So battle 2, so the Chaos Dwarfs are on the beach now.
Yeah, that's it, and they're looking to take over the elves' home, the little village up on the hill there. They were eyeing up.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a bit of a village defense we're going to go for.
That's right. Yeah. So with this campaign, we're also just going to kind of crawl the map, and we will do a pitch battle probably in the next battle or 2, something like that. But we're just going to crawl the map towards the village. We're going to do a bit of a kind of siege of whatever that village is called.
Yeah.
Nice
elf home haven of Lysander the Radiant. Maybe. That's not what it's called. We've got it written down somewhere. The one interesting thing we did though is we're saying when somebody wins a game, they get to decide which direction the map gets crawled. So we can always push back and we'll end up on the same battlefields again if it goes that way.
And if you push the doors off the beach, I guess that's we'll have to think about.
Yeah, we'll have to do.
Doors don't swim very well.
Yeah, that's it. We do maybe not a nautical battle would be cool.
That would be cool.
We could maybe get
a man of war set.
Yeah. Well, we just get a big pirate ship. We'll get a pirate ship and a barge. It'll be cool.
Anyways, that's our first battle. Thanks very much for watching, guys. And we will catch you when our battle 2 is up.
Cheerio.
Cheers.